Magazine.
Hello, once again, I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing The Resort. We're going on vacation! Woo. Oh, dear! All right, with me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I got vaccinated and everything, and things are starting to open up. So I was kind of looking for some new vacation spots. So This is almost like a travelogue,
It is of what not to do. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland. She's a living dead girl. How you doing?
I'm great, and I do love Hawaii. So I like to snorkel.
Snorkel. All right.
Yeah.
Road trip. Let's go. Let's get in the car. Wait a minute. There's something wrong with that idea. All right. Rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreher. How you doing, sir?
Hey, hello. I've got no fancy saying. Let's just talk about this movie, shall we?
You just want to jump.
Yeah. He wouldn't stop.
Fancy
He wouldn't stop. He's like
saying?
at my feet.
Oh man! All right. So what we're going to do is what we're going to do is give our first impression about the film. Then we're going to discuss it. While we're discussing it, we might drop a spoiler or two. We'll try to. Well, no, we're going to do it. And then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. All right, so what film are we talking about? What's this resort film you're talking about? All right, it's in selected theaters and on demand April 30th, 2021. It's directed by Taylor Chien, written by him as well. The cast includes Bianca, Haase, Brock O'Hearn, Michael Vlamis, and Michelle Randolph. The synopsis is 4 friends head to Hawaii to investigate reports of a haunting at an abandoned resort in hopes of finding the infamous half-faced girl. When they arrive, they soon learn you should be careful what you wish for. All right, so I'm going to preface this, if you will. I'm going to preface this with that the setup on this is really strong. All right, so there's a hotel on this small island in Hawaii, and it ran into bad luck, and there's all these rumors of haunting, and basically they had to abandon it. And there's only few people living on the south side. It's on the entire north side, and it's abandoned. And our group find a way out there. They take a flight on a helicopter out there so they can explore, and they have 6-7 hours to do what they want to do. And our lead is doing a blog or writing a book or something about it, maybe a thesis. I don't know. It kind of got lost in the mix, but there's also these, history that has lots of history in this half-faced girl. So it has all the ingredients. It has a small cast of 4 people, and with a couple of small supporting characters like a security guard here, a pilot there, a ghostie here, a doctor there. That. But how did it all come together? That's what I want to know. And we're going to start off with the first impressions. And Dave Dreher, sir, since it's been a while since you've been with us, I really got to know, sir, what was your first impression of The Resort?
Well, I agree with you, Doc. It had all the elements. I really loved. I don't know where they found this location at, but this abandoned resort, because it looks like it actually is an abandoned resort. It's. I mean, what a great place to film a movie. It's too bad someone didn't go there and do one, because it would have it would have worked out really well. I kind of like the premise of the story. I like the folklore that was involved in all this. They kind of opted for that non-linear story style at the beginning, which was actually kind of confusing because we kind of start out in the hospital room after all the events have taken place, and we kind of jump back and forth a little bit, and that wasn't really done particularly well. I was a little confused on more than one occasion. Then we kind of get into the meat and bones of this story, and for me, unfortunately, it fell victim to just what I deem to be poor filmmaking. It's really poorly edited. I think the actors and actresses did the best they could with what they were given with. We kind of fall victim to the purple pink light syndrome a lot.
You love those purple and pink lights.
All of a sudden, in the horror genre, pink and purple flashy lights are terrifying. Apparently.
Oh, they had green too. That green.
Yeah. So this had a lot of potential that ultimately went nowhere for me, at least.
Nowhere.
And thanks, Crystal. After we talked last week, and now every time I look at the poster, I cannot see a minion. That's all I see when I look at the poster. It's a goddamn minion every time. So
just so everybody can see what Dave's talking about real quick, I'm going to bring the poster back up. Now it's ruined for everybody.
It's a minion.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one kind of ended up being a pretty large disappointment for me.
All right, Jeff
Sorry.
Mohr, you are up next, sir. What was your first impression of The Resort?
I'm kind of with Dave, I guess. I felt like the setup was way too long. What is it? And it's not a long movie, 75-minute movie, but I felt like it's 55 minutes into it before something kind of scary, supernatural happens. Up until then, we get brief glimpses. There's a couple of jump scares, things like that. But there just was too much, I don't know, too much talking.
Too much talking.
I don't, I like character development, but this was beyond what was needed. And I thought that the last 15 minutes I thought was scarier than crap, except maybe we'll save that for later.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, I had the stuff towards the end, that just creeped the hell out of me. What was going on there with the developments. But up until then, gorgeous location. I don't know. I just was I'm waiting for something to happen. I don't need to see 20 somethings or even 30 somethings acting like, at least that one guy was acting like a college kid all the time. Anyway,
trying to.
I was a little bit disappointed. But the ending is there is that 10, maybe 15 minutes. It's just good stuff, I thought, towards the end.
Good stuff at the end. All right. We'll save the best for last year. Crystal, what was your first impression of The Resort?
Okay. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to say that I really liked the actors. I think the actors did a fantastic job. All of them across the board were good. I think they played their roles well as it was written and as it was supposed to be done. And I genuinely thought they were scared when they were supposed to be scared. So that's out of the way. I think a big part of this movie is I don't know that this movie has enough direction, and I don't know that it knows what it wants to be. I get it. Someone's making a horror movie and they're like, oh, hey, we're going to have this beautiful jungle and it's going to be all green and lush and this and that. And then to go from that, and then in the last 15 minutes, as we talked about, having these purple and green and all these, the tone is completely off. And if you're going to do that, I think it can be done successfully, but I think that you have to build up to that tone. I mean, before that point, they used mainly flashlights as their lighting. I mean, they really liked shining the flashlights into the camera, which I kind of liked myself. I don't have a problem with that, but you have to build a tone. And as y'all said, we have all this about, and I get it, they were trying to make us care about the characters, but we didn't care about the characters because they weren't particularly likable. And then, once again, I don't think that has anything to do with the actors. I think that has to do with the writer and the way that they just came off as vapid and boring. So that's a little unfortunate. I do think it was like Dave mentioned, the location. Wow. That could have been used, I think, in such amazing ways. And I get it. Okay, so I don't know why they went from wanting to do all this practical motivated lighting to this hyper real. It's such a strange thing. I get it. I mean, you want to make a horror movie and you want to go in this direction. You want to do that, but you have to create that same tone throughout. You have to keep that. It's just you may not be able to put everything that you want to put in one movie because it might not work. What I love the best is, I mean, I got to give them credit, but I mean, in the hospital room, did you see there's like a skeleton in the corner? I was like, they wouldn't have that. They wouldn't have that. They wouldn't have that in her hospital room.
What I love to like the helicopter scenes. You can tell they had like some canned of the helicopter flying around, and then when they did the close-ups, it was just some guy sitting in a helicopter and two guys outside shaking it back and forth. The helicopter wasn't moving; it wasn't going anywhere. They had this like canned. It was hilarious. It was like third grade filmmaking 101. So
I mean, I'll buy that stuff in the effort of low budget. I get it, but what I cannot accept is this monumental shift in tone and look. It's too much. You need to keep it. If you're going to have all the colors, great. I love that sort of movie. You know me, I love all this color. But okay, start out with muted tones and work your way up throughout. Don't just go muted, hypercolor, yay! Like it was crazy. The green really bothered me. I was like, why does she have this major green light on her? And I get it, because they want to use green to elicit a certain sense of emotion. But it was way too bright, and I don't know, and way too green. And I don't know if that was the lighting or the person who color graded it. I was frustrated.
Ouch. Yeah, so I was looking forward to this because I like I said at the beginning, I really like this concept. It had, like you said, a great location. It has a concise group of people, and they're doing something that I think many of us would be like kind of excited to go do. A lot of us talk about going to paranormal things, and this is an OI, and it's like this great location. And it had all the right ingredients, but then it was just kind of like flat. I did like the actors quite a bit. I think it Brock O'Hearn is like, poor man's Chris Hemsworth. He's great.
He
did really good. I mean that as a compliment. It sounds like
great value brand, Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Yeah. Before the most recent version of Thor.
Yes, I was like, that guy's pretty handsome. I think he'll do fine. But I liked all of them. I even liked the guy you said was a college, the douchey college guy.
Oh, but let me tell you, his acting was phenomenal. Like, okay, I hated the character, but he played it perfectly, and I got to defend the actors. I think they all did well. Just because we may not like the character, or we may not like the writing, that has nothing to do with them.
Well, I would say they're what made the film,
the movie.
Yeah, that I got through it. I don't think I ever got into the actual story of the half-faced girl. I don't think it was there, but it never was there. You know what I mean?
No, they just mention it, and that's really it.
Right. It never really took precedence of it. I mean, even when it's supposed to be full on that, right? And I think what really rubbed me the wrong way the most is this odd storytelling with the detective in the hospital room. That kind of stuff can work, but they were basically giving away everything before they showed us, and that's kind of deflated any suspense for me for a lot of it. Like, they're like, well, that was scary, but we didn't see, we had more to see, and I was like, okay, come on. And
okay, but we barely see any sort of ghosty. It's only imagined, because there's the one thing that you're supposed to have there or whatever. It's like nothing. And then all of a sudden, the car drives on its own. I mean, and then it's like, it's just.
Needed some build up. It needed a little bit more, things needed to start turning a little sooner, but not in a big way. It just needed to be a little bit more gradual, or maybe it's there and we just missed it because it's not.
Then if you miss it, it's not there.
Well,
it wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
It really is unfortunate because, like you said, you know, the location is so good, right, Jeff? The location was like we'd all want to go there, right?
I mean, hello, what sort of dream is it to be able to film a horror movie in such a cool location? Like it was cool looking. I mean, they were even able to take the cinder blocks and throw them through the windows. I mean, that's super fun. I think that'd be, yeah.
I wonder how they worked that out. I like it. Did they want to destroy it, or did they put the door there and destroy the door? I don't know. But I mean, I don't want to come in here and presume how to make a better film because I personally could not do that. But I can. It just felt like I never grasped whatever the tone and the scares that they were after.
So for me, the example kind of is at the very beginning, they do this build up where she's going to show in this YouTube episode of paranormal investigators that's going to scare the hell out of them. And
it didn't.
No,
I know
it really wasn't at all. And I'm kind of like, I kept waiting for the thing that was going to be creepy and scary, but it wasn't.
Okay, there. And there's where we have it. See, here's the thing: the Two-Faced girl. She's your freaking person. She's your villain. They don't show any sort of They only kind of lightly touch on her, and we never saw her throughout any of the scare until you need to drop little bits of her, then you could understand it and feel her more, maybe like have the interaction. Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Ouch. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, a couple of announcements. One is, if you're still listening, thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you're enjoying not only this review, but a lot of the other reviews we have on the site. Please, we encourage you to check them out. If you're a fan and you want to help us out, subscribing is a great way to do it. And hitting, sharing with a friend is another way. You got the like button, dislike button if you want to get more involved. And we'd love to hear your comments. You can roast us for not liking this. We're okay with that.
I think a lot of people will be totally cool with this movie. They'll totally like it. They'll be like, they'll think it was amazing cinematography. They'll think that the transitions were fabulous. They'll think that there weren't any continuity errors. They won't see. I'm sure a lot of people will be just fine.
Yeah, that's true with any film. We also want to take a quick moment to thank our patrons over Patreon, who, without their support, we wouldn't be able to do not only Gruesome Magazine, but Decades of Horror, Horror News Radio, and Heroes and Droids. We also want to take a quick moment to make an announcement that our podcast, Decades of Horror, The Classic Era, will be presented on a station that you can download and play on your TV through Fire Stick, through Apple TV, through Roku, and many other devices, or online. And that is the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. So we are very excited to be teaming up with Play Now Media and providing our content to them for anybody and everybody to watch on those platforms. It's some cool stuff, and they have lots of other channels out there too. Wicked Horror, the Classic Horror channel, it's coming soon. Really cool stuff. Check it out and let us know what you think of that. And Jeff, that's your podcast. Are you? How does it feel?
Yeah, no,
you're on TV, man.
We're all excited about it. We are very excited about it, and we say what's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it is. They got everything in there. From serials to things like the Mole Men to more classic genre. Fair. So
they got some cool stuff in there. Even though it's basically just like the Classic Era, it's up till 1969, but because Planet of the Apes is started in '68, and they have a couple of the Planet of the Apes films, they're actually in the '70s, so that was kind of cool. But they do have, like you said, they got the Batman serials. They've got all kinds of really fun films.
Captain Marvel serials.
Yep, Gamera movies, all kinds of good stuff. Check them out. Look in the link. We'll put a link in the show notes down below. All right, let's do this. We'll wrap it up and give our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. We'll go in the same order. Dave, that means you are first, sir. Go!
Go! Yeah, a partially realized project here. Decent story, great location. Acting was good. I agree with all that. I'm afraid the failure of this lies pretty much on the director of the film. Crystal nailed it 100%. I don't think it really seemed to me like it's like they had this really cool 15-minute scene and they somehow had to find a way to get to it. So they put all this shit in there so they could get to that last 15 minutes and flash all the pretty lights and have the half-faced girl. It kind of looked to me like it was kind of a mixture of CGI and practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they relied a lot on the light tricks, the flashy lights. But unfortunately, the story of the half-faced girl ends up being a half-assed movie.
No,
so I give it a 2. I give it a 2.
I love it.
Maybe someday somebody will remake it and give the story in that location the effort it deserves.
Oh, nice. I would going to argue just real quick that some of what they did, not all of it. I mean, they just spent too much time with it, but the traveling to the thing is something that, like the ruins did, it's needed because you got to establish the characters. But even when they got there, it just, they had to do it all over again. All right, Jeff Mohr, you're up next, sir. What was your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene?
Did Dave say a favorite scene? Did I miss that?
Oh yeah, did you? Dave?
Oh no, I don't think I did. I'm not even sure I have one actually.
Sure you do.
Yeah, put me on the spot.
Thought you got away with it, didn't you?
We'll come back to Dave.
Yeah, come back to me. Let me think about it.
You got it. All right, Jeff.
All right, I'm with Dave, and I think we're pretty much on board with this. I'm gonna give this a 2 as well, mostly because I think they're trying to sort of wrap up the tension with these spliced in sort of, I don't know if you call them flash forward, flashbacks, between the hospital room and the time at the resort, but it wasn't working. It didn't do what I thought it should be doing, which is sort of adding some tension, some apprehension, some a little bit of fear in there. It was just like everybody has said, kind of flat. And for me, it was just, I think that's what that was intended to be, to kind of get that going, but it still ended up to me just being way too long of a setup for a pretty good bang at the end. So I'm going to give this a 2 as well. And, since I get a pick from the favorite scene, I'm going to say when the not, not the Chris Hemsworth.
Brock O'Hearn as
I forget
Chris.
what his name was.
Are you talking about
Chris.
Okay.
Chris, when he is standing, they lose track of him for a minute, and he's standing with his back to him, and then what they get when he turns around. It was, I thought, effective.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's when it started to take off for me.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay. I think.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, favorite thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it a 2.5 because it's I mean it's completely average at best, but I think a lot of people are actually gonna like it. I would say you should probably see it, and you'll probably like it way more than we did. You'll probably be like, this movie's fabulous. They're so silly. So I actually will recommend it for most people because I think that they'll be okay with it. I just had some issues with it fundamentally. My favorite scene was the head smash.
The head smash.
Hey, I mean, I loved that. Okay, I gotta admit, there are some parts I loved. I just, wish it was more than 10 minutes of the movie.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna jump in here and say, I'm gonna give it a 2.75 because of the plot devices and the actors and the location. And I think, the ingredients are there. It's what is it, half baked, Dave? I don't know. You tell me. You're the cook. You're the chef guy. So
Unfortunately, the oven wasn't working.
Right. Are we just too
Wasn't fully
jaded?
baked.
Do we see too many movies? And we can.
Oh,
I don't know.
probably.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel bad, but at the same time, it just didn't excite me. It didn't register. But at the same time, the actors were playing characters that I wanted to follow. I may not have given a crap who died first or last, but we knew who was going to not, which is kind of a boneheaded mistake. But I still enjoyed myself. So yeah, 2.75. Flawed, fun in many ways, but not always. All right, and my favorite scene, and I think this is the one you mentioned, Jeff, and if it is, so it was I think it was it wasn't Chris, it was Sam, the character. Obviously, he's the one that goes missing first, and when they find him, I think they find him in the basement, and the three of them are finding, and he turns around, and when he does, it's kind of like that, Evil Dead kind of.
Well, that is what I'm talking about. I was trusting you guys to give me the right character name.
Well, you were saying Chris Hemsworth, so we gave you the Chris.
I said not the Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, I see. But the way you said it, I thought you meant it not.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yeah,
not the guy who was but not Chris Hemsworth.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the same scene. So I won't take that. So
that makes sense then. That I like. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little lost with what you were doing, but okay. So I'm going to go with the car scene, which I thought, given that they could not actually do what they wanted to do that stunt, I thought they pulled it off. The way they went around the corner and then you hear the sound effects and then you see everything. I think they handled that really well, and I liked how all that was set up and what it established. And I think that was about the only time I really felt the emotion out of the characters when they were wondering what was happening to her.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think so. So there you go. So Dave, are you going to be able to give us a favorite scene, or?
He thinks so. Crystal's the head smash was probably the best scene in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'd have thought of it at the time, I would have stolen that from her.
Of course,
so I'm gonna back her up on that one and say
You're gonna back her up on the head smash thing. All right.
You would have been first, so now Crystal has to pick another.
No, we're good. All right, so there you go.
Really?
Resort
Traitor.
It's streaming now, so check it out. Find it on VOD. All right, Dave, Jeff, Crystal, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I love doing these reviews.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
thank you, Doc.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.